Firnhaber. It's Wednesday, and of course that means time for 10 minutes of truth. Glad to be with you today. Today I have a really interesting article called Food Additive Combinations Raise Your Risk for Type 2 Diabetes. And as you know, in processed foods and ultra-processed foods, there's a lot of artificial ingredients and additives in there to make it look different, taste different, and make it the texture different. And these are called food additives, and also to preserve it, sometimes for years. So there's a study in the Public Library of Science, PLOS, that actually analyzed data from over 108,000 people. And it was an observational study that investigated whether common combinations of food additives found every day in ultra-processed foods are increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes in the general population. And they looked at 5 different mixtures of ultra-processed foods. Now, I'm not going to go into all of those food additives because there's a lot of chemical names and names that are probably you wouldn't know or understand, but I will go into a few of them here in just a minute. So again, this was over 108,000 people that were followed for 8 years. And here's what they found. Number one is, and this is a pretty obvious one, sweetened beverages increase your risk of diabetes. They noted that 2 additive mixtures contributed more to diabetes risk than compared to the others. Specifically, they pointed out mixture 5, which contains chemicals mainly found in sweetened beverages like sodas. So let me go over what mixture 5 is. So mixture 5 contains citric acid, sodium citrates, phosphoric acid, sulfite, ammonia caramel, acesulfame K, aspartame, sucralose, Arabic gum, malic acid, carnauba wax, paprika extract, capsanthin and capsorbum, anthocyanins, gargum, and pectins. Processed foods are also to blame. The second group that greatly contributes to diabetes risk is mixture 2. According to the researchers, example of these foods are processed dairy desserts, sauces, and canned broths. So what on earth was found in mixture 2? Modified starches, pectins, gumgar, carrageenan, phospholites, or polyphosphates, potassium sorbate, curcumin, xanthan gum. So even people that eat these foods that follow a healthy diet are at risk. People following nutritional healthy diets were still at risk if their food contained these additive combinations. Several of the additive mixtures, especially artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose, have been shown in previous articles to damage the gut microbiome. And we know that the gut microbiome is an incredibly important part of our health. And when you damage that, it can damage a whole lot of things in relation to our health, like our heart, our immune system, our liver, and our brain. Emulsifiers are implicated in microbiome disruption and gut barrier damage. These substances, the emulsifiers, by the way, which you find in toothpaste and other things, affect the mucus layer that protects the intestinal lining. And once that mucus layer is gone, this can cause leaky gut, food intolerances, and autoimmune issues. Carrageenan has been shown to impair glucose tolerance and promote inflammatory pathways that mirror early stage diabetes. But what about food dyes? There's one in particular called Brilliant Blue, known as E133, which has been shown to alter mitochondrial dysfunction in other research. As noted in a different study, blue number 1, a popular food dye, has been found to inhibit mitochondrial respiration in vitro. Now, mitochondria are the power plants of our cells, so if you inhibit mitochondrial function, that can cause chronic fatigue. You just don't have energy. And we know that mitochondrial dysfunction has been also implicated in cancer. So these findings are clear. If you're trying to manage your blood sugar and avoid metabolic dysfunction, it's not enough to cut back on sugar intake. You need to pay attention to the invisible chemical combinations added along with your food. So these studies, these additives are shown to pop up in human cells in different parts of the body. The study's goal is straightforward. Expose human liver, colon, kidney, and neuron cells to these additives, both alone and in combination, and record signs of toxicity or damage. One of the things they found that a lot of these combinations of products, they aren't so bad by themselves, but when you combine them, they have this synergistic effect that can actually damage DNA. One mixture in particular triggered DNA modification and mutation, and these include additives like modified starches, gargum, citric acid, aspartame, and sodium citrate. Not all additives act the same way when combined. Some canceled out each other, but some reinforced their harm in human metabolism. So what can you do to avoid this? Well, number one is you need to stop eating ultra-processed foods altogether. This is a big deal. So just cut back or just stop eating these types of foods. Choose whole, biodynamic, and regenerative foods as your base. So if you want to heal your metabolism, this is pretty obvious. Start with foods that never needed additives in the first place, like fresh fruits, vegetables, root vegetables like sweet potatoes, meats from properly raised animals, especially beef and lamb, raw dairy from trusted farms, and eggs from pasture-raised chickens. If you're not able to find those foods, just try and eat as much whole food as possible. Your gut microbiome needs whole food, not ultra-processed synthetic foods. And then read labels. Avoid products that contain certain emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives. That includes carrageenan, gargum, aspartame, sucralose, asulfame K, citric acid, potassium sorbate. Look up every ingredient you don't recognize. And I think there's apps now that you can get that will actually tell you what's it. You scan the barcode and it'll actually tell you what's in the food. I don't use that because I hardly get any of these foods ever. But if you're used to eating ultra-processed foods, you might want to get one of those apps for your phone so you can scan a product and find out what's in it. So the moral of today's 10 Minutes of Truth is that some of the combinations of foods that you're eating are combinations of additives. If you're a diabetic, a type 2 diabetic, maybe contributing substantially to that. And you need to cut these foods out of your diet and start eating a healthy diet. So I hope you do that. And I hope that if you have questions about your health that you want to call our office. Our office number is 402-488-2220. And we're here in Lincoln, Nebraska on 4535 Normal Boulevard, Suite 105. So hopefully for all of you out there that eat a lot of ultra-processed foods, you will begin to start radically changing your diet so you can be a lot healthier. In the meantime, We'll see you next week for another edition of 10 Minutes of Truth. This is Dr. Paul Firnhaber. See you next week.